Well, I've known Stephen Skinner for quite a long time, quite a number of years. We share a hobby in common, which is aviation simulation gaming, and I've known him through the League of World War I Aviation Historians for quite a while, and have attended a number of the seminars together. And I know that he's been working on this book for many years, has made trips to France and trips to elsewhere in the United States to research original documents and that sort of thing. So over the years I've known that his project and his love was this topic, and with the goal of doing this as a book. I think one of the most impressive bits of scholarship is the recreation of the final hours of Luke's life. This is what's going to be the real eye-opener to people, is the recreation of that final flight with the maps showing the timeline of who took off when and where they went and what they saw and what they did and what balloons were ignited in these attacks by Luke and others. Where he flew and where he came down, and some of the details surrounding his last moments on the ground. Where did the plane come down? He drew his pistol, of course, the famous stand. You've got all of these aspects very well covered in the book, and as a reader you'll really enjoy, I think, having your eyes opened to some of these details, and also be amazed at the level of scholarship and the research that's been done. I believe Stephen's made 7 trips to France and met a lot of people, delved into the town records in Mervaux, looked at what prior researchers had done, getting a lot of source materials, scouring the ground and walking the hills and looking where the potential gun emplacements were, where the balloons were placed at that particular moment. I think any reader is going to be impressed by the level of scholarship and how this is all laid out and explained. And when he comes to conclusions in the book, he explains the rationale for these conclusions and gives the evidence, and in some cases debunks what may have been assumed in the past or stated by other authors in the past, or even in some cases, one or two of the eyewitnesses. Where were they? What could they have seen in terms of the viewpoint and so on? And there's no substitute for somebody who's walked the ground and stood in these various locations where these eyewitnesses were.
Il y a beaucoup, écart, beaucoup,
Oui.
en témoignage.
Oui.
I'd rate this very highly. The research, the level of research and the depth of coverage of this topic, and the new material that's been uncovered makes it really a landmark book in that regard. I mean, numerous books have been written about Frank Luke over the years. Usually they're all very entertaining and they do tell a story, but there's always been some mystery attached to the details of his life, the conflicts that he had with his superior officers and so on, and the relationship that he had with Joe Wainer as his wingman. And he was not a particularly well-liked individual in his squadron, despite his fame. There's a lot of personality to this guy, and a lot of that gets very good coverage in this treatment. And I think from that standpoint, as well as the really in-depth coverage of his final flight, really makes this book stand apart from the others that have covered this topic before, but also it assures that this book is going to be of considerable importance in World War I aviation history. And I think that the level of research and the way that this topic's been covered so well by Stephen Skinner is going to make this book noteworthy, and also something that's going to last for a long time as a very good reference on this topic, because it ties up more of the loose ends. I believe even Stephen Skinner himself would tell you that there's not every last detail that's known, but for the first time I think we can reasonably say that with the research that he's done and the conclusions that he's come to, which are backed up by solid evidence, we have a very good idea of most of what happened on Luke's last flight. I think one of the most surprising and delightful parts of this book is the fact that it's hefty. When I first opened the manuscript and saw that it was 440 pages, my initial reaction was, whoa, this is really something. It's a lot, even more than I bargained for. So I think when this book is held in the hands, the reader will certainly be impressed by the heft of it, but I can certainly say that it's not fluff. There's nothing in there that's extraneous. The background of Luke and his family and his training and the people that he knew and everything aspect, even before he gets to France, is considerable. When he gets to France, of course, his 3 or 4 week combat career and achieving the success that he did so remarkably is very well covered. And then, of course, the final mission is covered in tremendous detail. And every aspect of that and every supposition, every new discovery is explained and laid out for the reader with the evidence, which is very useful. So this is very different from other books that have covered Frank Luke in the past, surely by the bulk of the research that's been done and the bulk of the conclusions that have been reached with the evidence that's presented. So from that standpoint, I think it's very valuable as well as very interesting.